Time for some more ant keeping, and today we're going to have a look at my colony of banded sugar ants. We'll look right inside that nest, and there's some really interesting information to come up, so make sure you hang around to the end so you don't miss out any of this update on such a beautiful ant colony. Yep, that's my banded sugar ants. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Ant Keeping Depot. Click on the link in the description to check out their website. Well, again, it's been quite a while since I've given you an update on this colony. This is Queen Scarlet and the banded sugar ants, or Camponotus consobrinus. Now you can see here in their Outworld, it's a little bit messy. It needs that clean up again. So we're going to give it a nice little clean up, a little bit of a refresh, so to speak, and get it all ready, give them some new food. And I'll show you a few little tricks there with ant keeping and feeding, filling up the liquid feeders, and how I go about doing that sort of process as well. Maybe some tips that you might enjoy. You can see there's quite a bit of a mess there with that liquid feeder. Now this particular species is such a beautiful species, that beautiful colouring that they have, and they're always out and about and exploring in this Outworld. Here's one of the workers that you can see, and they have that band at the top of their abdomen, and that's how you can identify them as a Camponotus consobrinus. A little bit different to some other very similar species. So we're going to have a look inside this nest shortly, and I'll show you what's going on in there as well, and some pretty exciting news. Now you can see here in the Outworld they've had a bit of a dig in the sand. It's pretty shallow, but they're hiding away in there as well. And it's quite interesting because this colony is ready to explode with so much pupae. So first of all, let's have a clean up of the Outworld, and what I'm going to do is use this little tray here which I collect all the rubbish, and some tweezers, and I'm going to do this nice and quickly, and we're just going to remove all of the carcasses of the leftover mealworms that I've killed and cut in half for them to access and to get that protein. So essential for your colony. Make sure you give them lots of protein. Occasionally I'll kill them a cricket as well, and I'll put that in, so those feeder insects. So there we go, we've done a little bit of a clean up there of the leftover food, and now we're going to have a look at this sugar water feeder. Now you can see here they've drained quite a bit out of it and they've stuffed sand into it, so let's give it a nice little clean up, and I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, so first of all I'm going to show you how I mix up my sugar water solution that I feed them. This is the carbohydrates. Now these little components here, the little jar and the little filter, or the little funnel actually, I got them from the cheap $2 shops, and they're only like $2.50 for 3 of these little bottles, and I think it was the same for 3 of these funnels as well. And I just use this to get the sugar inside. I use the little sachets of raw sugar or white sugar, whatever I've got available, and you can just pour it in and knock it down into there. So I started using these funnels because I've found that it sticks to the edge and then clogs up, and I've got to bang it in there. It makes a bit of a mess. So the new funnel, way to go. So just pour it in like so. Normally in one of these little containers I will use 2 sachets just to get this going, like so. Beautiful. Okay, once we've got the sugar in there, then I use some bottled water. Okay, essential to use some nice, clean, fresh, good water. Okay, so here's the bottle of water. So I've just fill up a syringe, and then I just put in the water into there. Okay, like so. Okay, once we have it full of the water like so, I just hold my finger over the top and we give that a nice shake and mix it all together. Dissolve that sugar into that water nicely. And you can see here it gives that little browny, yellowy tinge to it, which is good. And I like to use the raw sugar because it gives it that little bit more of a colour, so you can differentiate your liquid feeders perhaps from your water one. Okay, just makes it a little bit easier. Everything is nice and easy. It makes it quick, able to look after them. So I just screw on the little lid here, which has the little dropper feeder on the top, which is good. And again, this came with these little jars. Then I get the liquid feeder here like so, and I just fill it up. Just get in that liquid, pour it in nicely. Now what I've done is I've just used the base to the liquid feeder, and I've just cleaned that up. So it's all got rid of all that sand, just under some nice hot water. and it's ready to go. Now you can see the mess here on the ground, a little bit of a leak and of the stuff has come out as they've piled the sand in to clog it up. It actually just draws that sugar water out. So it's made a little bit of a mess, so I'm going to use some fresh sand here just to clean it up a little bit like so. Make it a little bit nicer for them. They always move the sand around anyway. Okay, so there we go, nice and ready, and then I can just put down the liquid feeder like so. We're good to go again. Okay, so the Outworld is looking much better, much cleaner, and now it's time for me to give them some food, some fresh protein as well, because that is essential and they're due for it. So I've plopped in some mealworms again, just cut them up, and here we go, here's one worker. A little bit excited to find some protein. Look at it, the strength of an ant. That piece of mealworm is probably twice its size, and it's grabbed onto the end and it is dragging. It's doing its best. Go, little girl, go. And in the back here we can see another worker has found another piece of that mealworm and is having a nice drink of that liquidy, soft, gooey inside protein. So that's excellent. So what they do is they will eat that protein, they will drink it all up into their social stomach, and then they'll go back into the nest and they will feed the larvae just by trophallaxis. That's regurgitating the food. So here we have the nest, which we're going to have a look at now. Let's see what's going on inside, and wow, how many workers have we got in there? And there is a huge, huge amount of brood. Not many eggs, but a lot of pupae ready to go. No cocoons at this stage. They haven't got to that stage in the process. But wow, look at it all. That is amazing, and I can't wait for all of these to hatch. Okay, let's have a little look through the nest. So again, if you haven't seen it, I made this nest quite some time ago, just out of Waitong or AAC Hebel brick, and just carved it out using screwdrivers. And yeah, it was a really nice project to make. I'd probably do it a little bit differently now if I made it, and I'm going to do a little tutorial on making the Waitong nest if you are interested. So yeah, I'll make a little tutorial on that. But there's plenty of room in this nest. I wanted to expand quite a bit, but this colony is doing so well that they are just growing and growing, and I'm going to have to add on another nest, I think. Here we go. One's a little bit excited, a little bit cranky that I disturbed them. But look at the piles of brood. Yeah, it's quite intense. Now, we're just coming out of winter fairly soon here in Australia. It's still cold at the moment, but we're definitely going to have a boom in the population. So, what do you think we should do? Well, I did do something. So, stay tuned and I'll show you what I actually did. So in this nest here at the bottom, I made an expansion port to go into a new nest when the time came. And at the top, I've got those two entrances out into the Outworld. So what I've decided is I got an acrylic nest, and I just thought I'd add that on in the meantime before I manage to make another one of these Waitong. Now stay tuned, this is interesting. So I put it on and I thought this will give them some more room, but look what they've done. They've stuffed the entrance full of sand. They've carried it all the way from the Outworld into this nest entrance and stuffed it. And then inside the acrylic nest, look at it. All of the dead ants that have died just from natural causes, they've dumped into this acrylic nest and they've sealed the entrance. It's like a tomb. Amazing. So I was just really shocked. I thought, wow. They actually don't want any more room at the moment. So I've left it on there, left it attached at the moment, and wondering what to do. But I know once we get into spring, I'm definitely going to need to give them a new nest because there is no way they'll all be able to fit. So that's what I'm going to do. So I thought I'd just share that with you guys because it's amazing just to see. They turned that acrylic nest into a tomb. So here we go, here's a bit of a closer look through the nest with the macro lens attached, and we can see the brood up close. Now some of the abdomens there you'll see are slightly expanded and they've got a few more of those bands on them. That is a nice sign to have. I really like that because that shows that their social stomachs are full and they're in there feeding up the brood. There's Queen Scarlet, looking nice. Now her abdomen's not too swollen herself because she's not laying eggs at the moment, but she's doing really well. In fact, this year, well, she'll be 3 years old since I've caught her in this colony. So 3-year-old colony approaching very shortly. So there's a few different casts inside the nest here. You have your, basically like your small workers, your medium workers, and then you have your majors, or soldier ants, sometimes they're referred to. They have those big heads, used for defense and also for cutting through food. So they've got that real big thick heads, and you'll see some of those in the nest. Some of the smaller ants, workers, they will be tending to the brood more than others. But it's just piles and piles of brood all the way through this nest. I mean, there's got to be hundreds of them, which is fantastic. I mean, this colony of workers, there's probably 400 to 500 now in here, which is great. I'm going to see how big I can get this colony to get. It's going to be great. So I'm going to give them a nice boost of protein to encourage that growth and get as many of these pupae to turn into cocoons, and they'll be ready to go. How cool is this colony? So I'll definitely be showing you the new nest that I'll be building for them. I'll show you that, and another update on this colony, which will probably come out in the next sort of month or couple of months anyway. But it's cool just to have an update on this colony and really see how they've been going. This is one of my favourite species, and I'm glad I can share it with you guys. Well, I'd like to thank my wonderful Patreons that make this all possible for me to bring these awesome videos to you guys. So thanks to Medical Carcass 9, Ants 3D, John Redwood, and William Bass, and my other Patreons as well. Thank you for your support. If you would like to support the channel, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/NovoAnts, and you can choose from the different levels and the different perks that come along with those different levels as well. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this update on Queen Scarlet and the banded sugar ants, and there's plenty more videos to watch, so check out some of these ones on your screen now. There's one there recommended for you by YouTube, and one that I think you'd really enjoy as well. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I'll see you in the next one. Happy ant keeping.